Okay, we're up to a new parak, Isha Shenaflu, and we've been speaking about Kesuvos, about marriage, about Tanoim. We're speaking a lot of things. So Derech Hakdama, we're familiar with this, but again, that written in the Kesuba, we know there was an Adunya, and very often written in the Kesuba was called Nichsei Tzayin Basel, which the husband would have to guarantee whatever he put in, he'd have to give back. That's called Nichsei Tzayin Basel, like Basel, it's strong like Basel. More common is Nichsei Milaik. Nichsei Milaik is anything that a woman brings into marriage. She can bring it into marriage. It can fall to her even during the marriage. The husband would go ahead and he would get the use of the Paris. That's only after Nesuin. By Erison, the first stage of marriage, he would not get the Paris. The first stage of marriage, he would not get the Paris. Only after what? Only after Erison, only after Erison Nesuin would he get the Paris. So the question is, she owns the right, she owns the Gufa Karka. She owns the Gufa Karka, and he has rights to Paris. He doesn't own his wife. In other words, his wife, Yakinyan, is, you don't own your wife, right? Your wife's not your Eved. Well, again, your wife's not your Eved. For Ashkenazim, not not. We're sorry. Okay. Anyway, so you don't own your wife. But she's entitled. She owns property, and you have rights for the payers to that property. So the shaila is, we're gonna have 4 cases in the Mishnah exactly if she would sell the property, whether the sale will be a good sale or not. It's not a difficult Mishnah. It's just a little involved. Just listen, we did I involved. We're good. We could do anything, right? He blogged it. Lenny blogged it 8 hours. It took him 8 hours. Yeah, 8 hours. You have to read what he writes. It took him 8 hours to put it together. Amazing. Aisha. Okay, so with that in mind, we're beginning the parak that of the sugya of Nichsei Milaik. Ha'isha shenaflu on nechasim, the isha, the woman that fell to nechasim, it can be more usually the feel is derech Yerusha, or it can be she got as a matana. So isha shenaflu on nechasim, actually tisares, she received it before Erison. In other words, at that time she was just a free girl, and then she sold it after Erison. She sold it after Erison. Again, if she gets it before Erison, sells it before Erison, she's not married. But here, she received it before Erison, and she sells it after Erison. Now, once there's Erison, you think that the Baal has some schus because he's on his way to Nesuin. But obviously, Moide Beishame Beis Hillel, they're going to argue later on in the Mishnah. So we're saying over here, Moide Beishame Beis Hillel, Shemay Cheres, that she can sell it, V'naisenes, or give it as a present, Mikayim, and it's done deal. In other words, it's the lichat chila, she could sell it or give it away. It's totally hers. Totally hers. Despite the fact that she is married now, there's an act of kedusha now, despite the fact that she's in that status now, despite the fact, nonetheless, that what? It's a sale. Now, what about this? Mishnah Arsa. So now it fell to her when married. It fell to her. It fell to her when what? When she was married. So she was married. Okay, one person. And it felt when she was married. So what's the din? Is there any change in the status? So Beishami says no. Beishami says no, you could sell it. Beishami says, in fact, that you could sell it. Beishami, no problem, go ahead and sell it. And Beis Hillel loitim char, you should not sell it. In other words, Beis Hillel, there is a nafkamina whether at which time it fell to you the nechasim. There's a nafkamina, right? And however, they both moda shemachra v'nas l'kayim. If you do bidi evet, if you sell it or give it away, you kayim. Okay, let's cut the riba like following. We're dealing with the halacha of nichsei milaig, the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Ches. That's property that falls to an arusa. So let's say it falls to her before she was an arusa, when she was a single person, and she sells them when she's an arusa. Final sales done, gives it away, no problem. In other words, the husband has no rights to stop her whatsoever if it fell to her before Erison, while she was a free girl. If it falls to Erison, now it's a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says no difference. As an arusa, even if it fell to her when she was married, still she can sell it lichat chila or give it away. And Beis Hillel says no. Lichatchila, you should not be able to sell it. Lichatchila, you should not be able to give it away because she's married now, and it fell to her in the stage of marriage, the first stage of marriage. But if you do it, it's okay. They're both minded that it goes through. Okay, Labrius. Now, Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda, Amru Chachamim, Lifnei Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Yehuda says the following: Hoyel v'zacha be'isha la yiska b'nechasim. In other words, since he's zoich in a wife, should he not be zoich in nechasim? Meaning that the sale should not be a good sale. Now the question is he going on the first case or only the second case? Okay, we'll see. But in other words, there's a svara to say, since she's married, that she should not have carte blanche control over the property, right? I mean, there's not nesuin yet, but she's mekudeshet, she's an eshes ish. So the question is that enough? Is that enough? What? Hang in there. Now, Amar Lahem says Rabbi Gamliel to the Chachamim, 1 second. Ala chadoshim anu boishim. Ela sha'atem megalgan lemes ayishonim. Outside, guys. The fourth case or the third case is going to be the following. If it falls to her, the erisin, if it falls to her, the nesuin, once she's married, totally, she can't sell it. She can't sell it. That's it. In other words, his rights in the peiris stops it from sale. Good? So what are you timing? You come along, Chacham, and you say to Rabbi Gamliel, what are you talking about? How could she sell it as an arusa? She's his wife. Says Rabbi Gamliel, I have problems understanding, even when a full-fledged wife, after Nisuin, why she can't sell it. After all, she owns the karka. He only owns the Kinyan Paris. And you want to tell me, B'shas Erisin, when she's not a full-fledged wife, she shouldn't be able to sell it? Again, the retort. The second case. Case number one, it fell to her when she was in Arusa. Case number before Erisin. Case number two, it fell to her when she was in Arusa. Good. She sells it. Says Beis Shammai, good sale. Says Beis Hillel, bad. It's comes along Rabbi Yehuda and in the Chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda reporting the Chachamim a conversation between them and Rabbi Gamliel, who appears to be what we call the Murray the Shmeitzer. Rabbi Gamliel is the one who brought down this Mishnah, right? So why do they say you should not be able to sell it? Now, which case it's going on? Well, the Chatchila b'diavad case, but the answer is, in the case where everyone says the sale's not a good sale, says Rabbi Gamliel, I got a problem with that. Even when she's in a Sua, I got a problem with that. I should have a problem with it when she's in Arusa? Of course not. It's less of a stage of marriage. You're not fully fledged. Good. So that's this part of the Mishnah. One more time. Ala chadoshim anaboishim. On chadoshim, meaning the chosim that fall to her when she's what? She is in a Sua. Right, the one that already she had old before, right before it. You now next third case number 3. Okay, so good. 2 cases, but now the next case is speaking about Nesuin. Naflula mishenisas. If it falls to her after she's fully married, in other words, she marries this guy, and they live together. No, she's not by daddy's house. It's after the 12-month period, living together, and Shayin. Grandma dies. Guess what? Left her Yerusha. Somebody sent me a picture today of my son, a Ferrari with a license plate that said on it Yerusha. You see the back, Yerusha. That's what he said. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Listen. So it falls in the now. After the marriage, everyone over there, Elu ve'elu moedim, both Beis Shammai v'Sila moeda, she'machra v'nasna, she'habal moetzim yalakuchas. The Baal can go ahead and take it away. Good. That's case number 3. Actually, nisas, if it fell to her before she got married, whether before Erisin or after Erisin, but she didn't sell it until Nisuin. Actually, nisas v'nisas, Rabbi Gamliel. In other words, guys, this is the 4th case. It fell to her either before Erisin or after Erisin, but the sale took place not when she was a Rusa. The sale took place when she was a Nesua. Good, right? Rabbi Gamliel Omer in Machra v'Nas Nekayim. Bid the evidence good. So Amr Rab Chanina ben Akavya, Amr Lefnei Rabbi Gamliel. Again, Rabbi Gamliel being the murder Shmeitzel, we had Rabbi Yehuda speaking to the Chacham ben Gamliel. Now we have Chanina ben Akavya speaking to Rabbi Gamliel. Hayil b'zocha b'yishal yiska ben Nechasim, the same thing. Since they're married, you're zoich and a wife. You shouldn't be zoich a wife in the Nechasim. Amr Lahem. So Rabbi Gamliel said the same thing. Ala chadashim an abayshim, right? El shatim megalgal lo yishanim on the new stuff that falls. In other words, the case that everyone agreed. What was the case that everyone agreed? That it fell after the suin, right? On that case, I have problems, right? Because she, right? And this case where what? Where it fell before the suin, al yishanim, she brought into the marriage, right? Okay, so we have 4 cases. Let's finish the Mishnah. We'll go over the 4 cases before we begin the Gemara. Now, Rabbi Shimon, he disagrees with the whole Mishnah. He says it has nothing to do with exactly when it fell. It has to do with what fell. So Rabbi Shimon Cholik, bein nechasim lenechasim lenechasim. He makes the chilik between nechasim ayidum lebal like timcha v'machav nasna batal. Sheni yidum lebal like timcha v'machav nasna. In other words, if the baal knows about it, we have to see what that means. It's no good no matter when, and if the baal doesn't know about it, it's good even when. So it's nothing to do with which point in time she receives it. It has the point in time to do when the baal. Okay, look, guys, let's go outside. 4 cases. First case. Again, the hakdama is we're dealing with the nichsei miloik, where the husband's going to get the usage of the field or whatever, the house, he's going to get the rent. It's what we call Paris. Guys, Paris is lav dafka fruit. Paris is the profit made. It's not the principal, it's the profit or the interest made. Good? So he's going to get use of it. First case. Woman gets a property. She's not married yet. She now gets married. First stage, Erisin sells it, right? Sells it, no problem. Everyone agrees, both Beishamai and Beisilel, that the sale lechatchila is a good sale. What happens if it falls to her after Erisin? She falls to her after Erisin. Machlekes Beishamai Beisilel. Machlekes Beishamai Beisilel says Beishamai no difference. The same thing. Lechatchila you can sell it. B'diavad according to Beisilel. Next case, she goes ahead. She gets married fully, has nothing, and in the full-fledged stage, the marriage, the suin, it falls to her. What's the din? Everyone agrees. That what? No sale. Why? He already has his Kenyan Paris. It's finished. Next case, she has property. Whether the property came to her before she was married, Erisin, or came to her after Erisin, but she only sold it after the suin. Only sold it after the suin, says Rabbi Gamliel that b'di'evet it will be a good sale. B'di'evet will be a good sale. Comes along Rabbi Chanina ben Akavya and says, why? How could it be a good sale? She's fully fledged marriage. Says Rabbi Gamliel the same answer. What is his answer? I have problems even case number 3, scenario number 3, when the whole thing falls to her, that it shouldn't be a good sale. So this case where it didn't fall to her b'shas nesuin, it fell to her before, Allah has come b'kam, I should have a problem. Those are the, now we're going to ask on the first 2 cases. What's the difference in case number 1 and case number 2? Why does Rabbi Beis Hillel switch, guys? Why does Beis Hillel switch? In other words, when it fell beforehand, Beis Hillel says, "L'chatchila, get rid of it. You can do it." But if it falls after Erisin, you can't. Okay. Fred the Gemara. Maishna Reisha. What's the difference? The Reisha, the loy pligi. That they do not argue that elu moedim that l'chatchila it's a good sale. Umayshna seifa. What's the difference in the seifa? Meaning the second case where it fell to her b'shas erisin, the plea where they argue. So Amri debei Rabbi Yanai reisha b'schusa naflu. In the reisha it fell to her in haschus, meaning like in her jurisdiction, and seifa b'schusoi nafla. 1 second. So if it's hub in b'schusoi nafla kimacher v'nasna makai. 1 second. If you're telling me it's like in his jurisdiction, why would everyone be maida that it's a good sale? In other words, like it's a good sale, like it's a good sale, but the Evid. But if it's his chos, it should be. He shouldn't have any jurisdiction. Ella, you're right. Let's get a different teretz. Ella reisha vaday b'schusa naflu. That we have no problem with. Everyone agrees it's chusa. He had no shaykhs to it, and therefore the sale is a good sale. However, seifa ema b'schusa, aim b'schusai. Okay. I would say maybe it's her, maybe it's him. Rashi, you need Rashi for this, guys. Rashi. Ema b'schusoi, the erisin oisa suffik nesuin. Erisin brings you to a suffik nesuin, and we all say nesuin, you won't be able to sell it. Shema tavli de nesuin, shema loy tavu. In other words, there's the first stage of marriage. It's called erisin. In most scenarios, erisin leads to nesuin. Maybe yes, maybe no. Since maybe yes, maybe no, says Beis Hillel what? You can't sell it. But since maybe it won't lead to Nisu, and if you sell it, b'di'evet, it's good. So it says the Gemara, Elaresha says the Gemara, Ema b'schusai, like maybe it's him, maybe it's her. If he marries her, it's his. If it doesn't, it's her. L'chatchila like timchar, because it's a suffix. However, imachra v'nas l'kayim b'di'evet, according to Beis Hillel, who we have to answer up. If you sell it, v'nas l'kayim. The kasha is only according to Beis Hillel, guys. Because like Beis Shammai, there's no difference in ratio in the sefer. Both l'chatchila, right? It's only we only have to answer for Taich Beis Hillel. So what's the difference? In the Reisha, clearly hurts. In the Sefer, when she's already engaged, we can view her one of two ways. We can view her as an arusa because she's not married yet, or that she will be married. So therefore, in that lichatchila, don't sell it. But yeah, if you do, you do. I'm Rabbi Yehuda. I'm now. Why does this question? What did Rabbi Gamliel, guys? What did Rabbi Yehuda say? Because we had two cases. We had the case of it fell to her before Erison. We had the case where it fell to her after Erison. Pops up Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Gamliel and says, why b'di'evet, if you sell it according to Beis Hillel, is a good sale? After all, it's his wife. It's his wife, right? Question: is he going back on the lechatchila case? In other words, since it's a wife, and even though it fell before Erison, you should not be able to sell the lechatchila? Or is he going back on the second case? Why is it a good sale? I feel with b'di'evet. Iboilahu. Rabbi Yehuda al lechatchila. Is he going on back on case number one? Or is going on case number two? Okay, good question. Guys, answer case number two. This is going to be easy. Gemara, I love in the Gemara because one case and says Shema, this is Gavaldik. Yes, I'm kind of,
I understand why you have the Gemara say suffer, because most you go past the road, most areas ends up in soon.
Right. I don't think you have to go, but there's no rive. There's no rive there. No, rive is virus suffer.
Most marriages last.
Right. I don't think it's a rive over here. We get how do you view it? In other words, the sale over here. Right now, there's a sale. Listen, I hear the fact that the husband should not have any rights whatsoever until he has the papers. I hear that clearly, right? So really, the kasha is why does he have the rights? So the answer is since it could lead to that, but it didn't. In other words, it has to be a vada in ownership. It's not like a rive is like Yankel Yumavirus Suffolk. I don't know what to do. Over here is how do you view the person? The rive doesn't change the view. How do we view? Do I view as a Nesua or do I view as a Rusa? Yeah, no, I'm saying it's the view. You understand the difference in rive? In other words, you're right. Rive marriage is that, but you don't have to come on to rive that. It's not. It doesn't make a more of an Nesua. You are the. How do we view Erison? Do we view Erison as an entity unto itself, or do we view it the beginning of marriage? Really, that's what it is. It's not so much that suffix whether you get married. It's a suffix. How do you view the person at this period of time? Good. Tashma. Titania. Rabbi Yehuda. Lefnei Rabbi Gamliel. They said from Rabbi Gamliel. Hayil v'zu ishtai. 1 second. This one is his wife, meaning, right? This one is his wife, the Nesua, and this one is his wife, the Arusa. Su machra batal. The Nesua, if he sells it batal, afsu, so too what? It should be batal. Now, obviously, it's for the other guys, right? Guys, you hear? This is the raya right there. Raya is right there. The raya is right there. Abzu machra, if she sold it, so therefore you have a raya that's going on. Which case? The case of B'di'evet. Amalahem alachadoshim on a boishim. Vitaka says I wonder about the Nesuin. Why by Nesuin is a good sale? Elishatim a galgan aleinu asayishanim, and you want to throw upon what the one that she brought into the marriage? Shmamina from this dialogue. The Evet Kamar, that you can see that what Machra, it's a sale. You see that clearly it's going in the case of the Evet, not the case of Lechatchila. Shmami no, you have a good raya. Baruch Hashem. Clear. Tanya. Reb Chanina ben Akavia. Loi kach heshiv on Rabbi Gamliel. Now we're gonna have a brisa that elaborates upon the conversation. Now, what was the case that Rabbi Chanina was going on, guys? Rabbi Chanina was going on the case of where you received land either before or after Erison, and you sold it by Nesuin. And Rabbi Gamliel said, B'di'evet, it's okay. Good. And on that, he said, it's a wife, it's his wife. How can she not, how can you sell it, right? That was what was going on. So now the Gemara, the Gemara goes on that. Tanya. Reb Chanina ben Akavia. Loi kach heshiv on Rabbi Gamliel chachamim. Didn't answer on hachadoshim. I'm wondering why. And the Yeshanim kol shekain. And this is what he answered the Chachamim. Loyim amamet bin Nesua, right? What do you say by Nesua? Shekain baila zakaid mitziyasa. This is Baruch. That the Baal is zeicha in hamitziyah. Mishameva. Umaisi Yadeha Mishumat because of Mizainis. Uba Forest Nadareha because he's going to go ahead one and I think he'll redeem her. Tomer Barusa Shein Baila Zakai Loy Mitziasa Blame Maisi Yadeha Vloy Forest Nadareha. In other words, guys, this is a much obvious chilik. What? Guys, look at me. Guy came along. He said the following. He said, how could you say it's a good sale if they're all they're married? I'll tell you why it's a good sale. She got this before they were married. She got it when she was in Arusa. In other words, guys, here's the key. If you're going to touch up that Arusa is a wife, it's problematic. It's like, so what's the chilik, right? Touch up the following. An Arusa is not zoicha in the Paris of a wife. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The whole din, again, as I said, you don't own your wife. The male, if you don't own your wife, it's not a case of masha kana isha kana baila. Masha kana evet kana baila. You own your evet, so whatever your evet gets, you get. But your isha, what she gets, you don't get. You don't get her field. You hear? That's the key. You don't get her field. It's not yours. What do you get? Rights. But but Erison, you don't get it. Good. So that's it. In other words, why do you have to say Allah on an assuming? Just say it openly. You know, there's a difference between Erison and Nesuin. So what are you hacking me a chinik? That's what the Brisa says.
The pairs between the Erison and Nesuin don't go. He has no rights.
He has, when he's a Rusa, zero. And so that's what the Brisa says. This is what he said to him. One more time. You know why by Nesua the sale's not a good sale? Because listen to the rights that he has in her. Shekain baila zakai mitziasa, umaisa yadeha, ubafaris nedareha. Taimer barusa. What would you say ben arusa? She'ain baila zakai loy mitziasa. He doesn't get a fine things she finds. Loy maisa yadeha. He doesn't get the workings of her hands. Loy faris nedareha. Obviously, what? It's less of a stage. So amulay Rabbi. Okay, amulay Rabbi. Okay, so you got it. Good. Now, amulay they said to him, Rabbi. Machra, let's take out the law. Machra achlei nislis, right? If she sells it before Nisuin and then nisis, v'achkach machra, mahu. So it's sold machra achlei nisas. If she sold it before Nisuin and nisas, and then there was Nisuin, v'achkach machra. What does that mean? That makes no sense, right? What does that mean? I thought I understood what I was going about. Maybe I don't. What? You have to take more out. I don't know. It doesn't seem like. Okay, let's see. I have. So now. So Amrullah the Chacham said to Rabbi Gamliel, "Hayil v'zaycha ivisha layismin." Did I skip? No, Amrullah. Chacham said to Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi. They said Rabbi Gamliel, Machra lav. They sold it when she was a rusa. Machra lav. She sold it when she was a rusa. Actually nisas, right? Before what? She was Nisas, right? So then it's a good sale. Nisas v'yakach machru mahu. What about if he marries her and then she sells it? And there were two separate cases, guys. Machru, if she sold it when she was in Arusa and then she got married, okay. But what about Nisas v'yakach machra? Let's say first she has it, she gets married, and then she in full-fledged marriage, and then she sells it. So Amrullah Rabbi said, "Absolu mecheres mesenes." Guess what? In lichatchila she can do that. Why? Because when she received it, he didn't have any rights in her. She was an arusa. So Amrullah said, "Hoil v'isha layiska b'nechasim." Since it's his wife, he shouldn't be zeichen in nechasim. So Amrulahem, and that he said, "Al chadoshim anabayshim el shatim megavim leinu es hanechasim hayishanim." In other words, like this. Well, in the first part, we expanded the conversation. What are we saying? You're saying that. If he has no rights in her, right? After all, she's an arusa, So they said, like, what about this case? She got a shim as arusa, and then she sold it when he did have rights in her. Said Rabbi Gamliel, but which is case number 4 of our Mishnah, guys, isn't it? That's case number 4. What was case number 4? No matter when she got it, she sold it as the Nesua. Why did Rabbi Gamliel say in our Mishnah that b'di'evet, correct? Okay, hang in there. So they said, if your distinction is what her status is, if the status is Erison versus Nesuin, okay, I understand. What happens if she sells as a Nesua? Says Rabbi Gamliel, guess what? I don't care. Boom. good sale. They said on that, they retorted, how can it be a good sale? She's a full-fledged wife. And then said, Mad, this is what he answered. Madach, if she would have inherited as an Asua, not bringing into the marriage. I got a problem that it's not a good sale. I should have a problem with the stuff she brings in. Okay. So therefore, that was the conversation. So there's two parts. One part that was not in our Mishnah, a second part that wasn't a Mishnah. Now, but we got a problem. This is scenario number 3 or 4 of our Mishnah. Again, scenarios in the Mishnah, just the Chazir one more time. Before Erisin, after Erisin, right? In Nisuin or before Nisuin. So here, this is before Nisuin and the sale is Nisuin. Like we said in the Mishnah, B'diavad, it's a good sale. Here we're saying what? L'chatchil, it's a good sale. Now we have another problem. But here's our problem. Let's see it. So now, says the Gemara, V'anan Tanan. How can you say B'diavad? How can you say L'chatchila? But Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, scenario number 4. At Shaloi Nisas V'Nisas. Right, and therefore, why it's only b'diavad. Says Ramgil Omer im machra v'nas nekayim dafke b'diavad and not lechatchila. So Omer Rav Zvid enachinami switch our Mishnah. Pani meicheres v'neisenes nekayim. Go ahead, change our Mishnah. Usually, change the brisa. There's a big thesis over here. Okay, but for brevity and easy sake, change our Mishnah. What does the Mishnah say? As long as she received it before Nisuin, she could sell it lechatchila. That's the teretz of Rav Zvid. Okay, so what are we holding, guys? We have a kasha. In scenario number 4, where she received it before Nisuin and sold it after Nisuin, says Rabbi Gamliel, lechatchila, it's a good sale. Our Mishnah said b'diavad, it said lechatchila, we're changing our Mishnah now. Another teretz to that kasha, Rav Papa Amalei kasha, ha Rabbi Yehuda, that said is b'diavad is Rabbi Yalib. In Mishnah we have 2 pshatim. Rabbi Yehuda Ali Rabbi Gamliel, that's Rabbi Yehuda of our Mishnah, b'diavad, and Rabbi Chanina ben Akavya, and the brisa that says I feel lechatchila, that's Rabbi Chanina ben Akavya Ali Rabbi Gamliel, right? Right. So that Rabbi Chanina ben Akavya viewed Rabbi Gamliel as what? That lechatchila, if you received it before Nisuin and saved it afterwards, that lechatchila you could sell it. Now that apparently will be the sheet of Beis Shammai. In other words, that sheet of that changes status. Beis Shammai doesn't make a chiluk between arusa, as long as you received it before. So here also, but Nesuah received Nesuah for. Says Gemara, Rabbi Chanina ben Akavya Beis Shammai. So Hachikama le'nechlu Beis Shammai b'sila davazeh. In other words, they don't argue. They would agree that if she received it before Nesuin and after Nesuin, that why it will be a good sale. Now, Rami Shmuel Demet Shavayu, Bein Shenafnu Nechasim Achle Nisarsa, whether she received the Nechasim before Erisin, Bein Shenaflu Nechasim Nisarsa, whether she received the Nechasim after Erisin, V'nisas, and then she gets married. Abal Moitzim Yadal Kuchas. In other words, this is the most severe shita. Guys, this is not like a Mishnah at all. Come on. Like Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Chanina Makavya. You guys, you hear, listen. We have Rabbi Yehuda b'diavad, you could go ahead and she makes the sale. Rabbi Chanina, lechatchila, you can make the sale. Over here, you can't make the sale at all. And the Rabbi Shmuel, they're Amoraim, they can't argue on Tanoim. Says the Gemara. So how can Rabbi Shmuel say that even if you received it beforehand, it's not a good sale? Why not? And the Gemara, Inu Dami Rabbi Seinu, they learn like the Chachamim, the Tanya. Rabbi Seinu Chazru v'Nimnu, the Chachamim, they were counted together and they concluded Bein Shenaflu Achleinis Arsa, whether it fell to before Erisin. Bein Shenaflu Mishnas Arsa. In other words, scenario number 1. Bein Shenaflu Mishnas Arsa number 2. V'Nisas, and then she gets married in Nesuin. Habal Moitzim Yad Al Kuchas. In other words, the Chachamim overrode the Mishnah, and they said that they can be Moitzim. In other words, guys, as soon as Nisas, when she comes in Nesuin and he's Zeicha to the Paris, regardless of when it fell, she can do it. Guys, outside. What's the whole discussion over here? She owns the property. He owns the Kenyan Paris. To what extent does the Kenyan Paris stop her from going ahead and sell her to give it away? Right? So in our Mishnah, we had opinions that, well, if it's before Erisin, basically, light base Hillel, you shouldn't do it, but if you do it, it's okay. Right? And now we're coming along and saying, you know what? If Erisin, okay. But if the Nisuin, once Nisuin, and he has rights in the Paris, regardless of when it fell, she can't go ahead. He can be mites to the Paris. He can't be mites to the Karka. He can be mites to the Paris because that's his right. And that's what the Chacham Nimnu began with, that they concluded that that's the law. And therefore, Rav and Shmuel were going according to that opinion. If she received it after Nesuin and then sold it, then both Beishaim V'Sil Maida that the balcony might be al Lekuchas. Lema Tanina the Takanas Usha. Let's say this is the Takanas Usha. Again, this remember guys who back the Usha, we made this Takana that Baal B'Nichsa Isha is Kimi might be al Lekuchas. Then Rabbi Yosef Chanina B'Usha Eskina when Usha made a Takana Ha'isha Shemachra B'Nichsa Milaig, a woman who sold the Nichsa Milaig B'Chayi Baila when her husband was alive. Umesa, and she dies. Habal mitzvah miyad lekuchis, and the Baal can take her away from the lekuchis. So what does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah apparently is parroting what Usha is parroting our Mishnah. That once married, the suin takes place, the Baal has rights to take it back. So what is this different than Usha? What is the takana? And for the Gemara, masnisan b'chayeha uleperis takanas Usha b'gufa shel karku achamisa. Big difference, guys. Huge difference. In our Mishnah, as I just told you, he can't take back the land. What can he take back? What was his? The Paris. He can't take back the land. The Paris. The woman is still alive. What was the Konsusha? If she dies and it went to the hands of somebody else, he has a lien on the property and he can take it back. And not only take back the Paris, he can take back the whole property, the karka as well. So it's much more severe. The Konsusha is much more powerful. Rabbi Shimon made the chilik. He didn't make a chilik between when he made the chilik whether the Baal knew about it or not, right? Rabbi Shimon chilik bein nechasim. Elu hein you doing? Ve'elu hein shein you doing? What constitutes what he knew about it? What constitutes he didn't know about it? Some Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina, you're doing mikarkoi. You're doing first the karka. Shein doing metaltalin. In other words, karka. It's more. Guys, you know, a person has a land. You have a title. But that person hasn't safe deposit the box. You don't know, right? You don't know. With Talton, you can hide. So that's any you're doing. So if the sale is you're doing that, then he can go back chayzer on it, but ain't you doing that. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Elu Elu you're doing. Those both be considered doing. They're both considered doing. The Elu Hain she'eni you doing. What's any you doing? Kol she'yoshev kan. They're living in one place. V'naf l'nechasim medina sayom. That's any you doing. Tanya Nam Yehochi, like Rabbi Yochanan. Tanya Nam Yehochi, a brayso is substantial Rabbi Yochanan. Eluhin shein you doing kol sheyoshev kan v'naflu l'chasim medina sayom. Anyone who if they're sitting over here and the chasim falls from medina sayom. So again, we have a Mishnah's nichsei milag. We have 4 cases. Machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel in case number 2 by Erison, whether it fell after Erison. The Chatchila Beis Shammai says you could. Beis Hillel says you can't. Nisas, they both seem to agree that if it falls after Nesuin that you can't. And we have an override on case number 1 and number 2 from Rabbi and Shmuel based upon the Chachamim that once there's Nisas, once he sells it after Nisas, regardless of when it fell, then what? It would override because he already has the Kinyan Paris, he'd be able to go with the Paris.